Alright guys, first video. This is going to be working on one of the archetypes that I talked about earlier in the introduction to mobility, and one of the most important archetypes, which is your squat. You squat every day, whether you're in or out of the gym, whether you realize it or not, when you go to sit down, when you go to get in and out of your car, when you bend down to get something out of the cupboard. So you're constantly using this archetype. So it's super important that we understand proper form before we start loading it and before we start trying to do any sort of heavy movement within the squat. So, good form. You want, like your coaches tell you, about hips distance apart. Your feet can be about 10 to 15 degrees turned out. Anything more, you're just compensating for poor hip movement. So, toes forward. You want to think like you're sitting back into a chair. Send those knees out and drop straight down. You want to have your knees over your toes. And let's not ignore our big toes. Big toes are so important because that means you're grounded. You're not rolling out on your feet. You want to keep your feet flat, grounded, feel the ground. Try to do this without socks on, barefoot, so you can really feel what's going on in your feet. Just like anything, your feet are your foundation. They're so important, and we always ignore our feet. We'll do a feet mobility video at some point, but for now, I just want you to drop down in your squat. Sit here. If you can't get your heels back while keeping your chest up, maintaining a nice neutral spine, that's okay. Go ahead, come up on your toes, but move around. One of the most important rules about mobility is that you want to mobilize in the area of deficit. So if you have a problem with your squat, if you have a problem getting into full extension or the full position of the squat, get down and sit there while you're watching TV, while you're reading a book. 5 minutes a day. Sit here, move around, loosen up those ankles. Your ankles are a huge part of squat mobility. A lot of people have really tight ankles, tight calves. So this is a great way, simple way, no tools needed, to just mobilize your squat. So I want you to sit here for at least 5 minutes a day until your squat is as beautiful as you want it to be. You should be able to have your arms out, cross your arms in front of you, and then ultimately the full extension of this position would be your overhead squat to get your arms overhead. So if you want to load this, I'm going to give you options as we go through these videos. Some people are more mobile, more advanced, so I want you guys to have different options. If you have a plate, if you have a dumbbell, you can grab that and you can load your squat. You can put the plate on one leg and push down into the ground. That's going to help mobilize your calf. That's going to help get into that ankle. Switch sides. Get down into there. Nice and easy. Like I said, patience. This is a slow practice. This is a patient practice. Sit here, watch TV. Spend about 5 minutes here. If you want, you can hold the plate out in front of you. Move side to side. Again, just giving you guys options for your squat. Now we're going to go into runner's lunge. We all know this, you should. Proper form, knee tracking over your heel. You can push a little bit further, you just don't want to have your knees go way over your toes, okay? Protect that knee joint. Drop that bottom leg. If you can, sit nice and upright, okay? Squeeze your glute. What that's going to do is that's going to get you into that hip. You want to really mobilize these hips, get you guys nice and loose. Your hips, your external rotation, and your hip hinge are two key components to your squat. So keeping those hips nice and loose, healthy, that's going to help your squat. So I want you guys again to spend about 2 minutes on each side of this runner's lunge. I'm going to speed up the process so that we're not sitting here for 40 minutes while I talk. But after you can pause this video, sit here for a couple of minutes, then press start when you're ready to switch to the other side. Other side, same thing. Really watch that knee. Keep it tracking over your foot. You don't want it outside, you don't want it inside. Nice form, right? Good form, good habits. Squeeze that booty. If you can, keep your chest as upright as possible. If not, that's okay. Lean down. If you need extra support, lean on a box, on a brick. If you have one of those foam bricks for yoga, that's great. Here's the second option for those who need more. Take your plate, take your dumbbell. Again, weight it. Push down into it. And remember, a big component to mobility is your breath, your breathing. Really breathe with intention. Nice, long, slow inhales, and even longer exhales. You want to calm down your central nervous system. You want to let it know it's okay. It's uncomfortable, but just like we know with CrossFit, with mobility, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's where you're going to grow, and that's where the practice is going to just make your body that much stronger, that much more mobile. So there's your option for more. Again, 2 minutes here. Now I want you guys to go into pigeon. If you're not familiar with pigeon, it is a traditional yoga pose. Great hip opener. It also will work the outside of your glutes here. So start, ideally, you want to have your leg, what's comfortable, kick it out only as comfortable as where your knee is not in any sort of pain, okay? This can be tough on knees. So the closer the foot is to your body, the easier the pose is going to be, right? The more your foot is at the 90-degree angle, which is where you ultimately want it to be, that's the full extension of the pose. And if you'll notice, look at my back leg. This is poor form. True pigeon pose, you want to be up on top of that back knee, meaning kick that leg back, shift your hips up and on top of that knee. So as you see, my hips are squared off, pointing straight forward. That's what you want. You don't want to fall back and open that hip up, because then you're missing all of this. So up, hips forward. If this is too much, being upright like this, go ahead and walk your hands out. You can rest on your elbows, and remember to breathe. 2 minutes here, guys. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And again, if you need more, you're level 2, level 3ers, get that plate on here. Get that dumbbell. Keep that knee pinned. Keep on top of that back knee. And drop your chest down. Lift your chest up. Get some movement into that mobility. Doesn't need to be stagnant. You can also add movement. And again, remember to keep your breath. 2 minutes before you switch to the other side. Swing that leg around. Again, first find a comfortable position for your knee. Get your knee pinned, and then make sure you come up on that back leg and you're up on that back knee. Your hips are square to the front, and if you can, maintain a nice tall chest at first. Big breath in, and you can walk your hands out. And just breathe, relax, get your breath going, nice and easy, nice and slow, while maintaining good form. So again, 2 minutes here. If you need that level 2 aspect, bring that plate or that dumbbell into it. Another option, a ball. If you don't have a lacrosse ball at home, that's okay. I think the gyms should still have all of my torture devices there. Ask Ryan if you can rent them out, or if not, you can order them online for a big bag, or a tennis ball. Tennis balls are just a little bit not as dense. These are really rough, these are really hard, so they really are a great mobility tool. If you don't have something like this, your fist will always work, okay? So if you have a ball, I want you to do the option of the ball in your pigeon pose. After you've done your regular pigeon pose, both sides, for 2 minutes, bring the ball, bring your fist, bring the tennis ball into play. If you're really gnarly, add this guy. I'm not gonna do that. So this is gonna get into your glutes. Just position, and all the way to the side, we're gonna work all the way down. I call them passes, meaning you spend the time here, you pass the ball along. Usually I do about 3 to 4 passes when I'm using any sort of lacrosse ball to get into here, to mobilize, to get into that soft tissue. It is uncomfortable. It should never be painful. There should never be any sharp pains, tingling. Obviously discoloration starts to happen and your extremities stop, but discomfort is normal. It should be uncomfortable, and it should be a little painful, and that just means that your soft tissue, your fascia, is tight. That's what this does. That's what these tools do. They get in there, they loosen it up. Uncomfortable work, but long-term benefits, okay? So second movement, get that lacrosse ball, tennis ball, fist. You're gonna start it, get in your pigeon pose. You're gonna place it right below your knee, never on the knee joint, right below the knee. You want to almost feel like you're trying to separate that quad muscle on the side. Get right there in that line there, sit in it. If you want to go down, if you want to add the plate as another option, again, keep your hips squared, get your leg where it's comfortable for your knee, get that ball, tennis ball, fist in there, and breathe. I want you to spend 1 minute in each pass. So here, move it down for a minute, back into pigeon, here for a minute, 3 passes. Again, they're not up here. Third and final pass, this is probably the most painful, here for 1 minute, okay? Switch sides. Go ahead and pause the video, get your other side going, and then come right back to it. Last stretch that I'm going to work on for your hip openers is just a simple side splits. Now this is obviously wherever you're at your mobility level. This is actually a flexibility level thing. So you want to just start comfortably with your legs out to the side. And I want you to get to a point where you can keep your toes pointed up. You don't want your feet falling in, and unless you were a dancer, you might have some really gnarly external hip rotation. Your toes might turn a little bit out, that's okay. But ideally, you just don't want your toes to go forward. You want to keep your booty glued onto the ground. So really think about the backs of your kneecaps and your booty into the ground. So what I want you to do, take a big breath in, flex your quads, push the back of your kneecaps in, extend up, think like as if there's a string pulling your head up. Big breath in, and as you exhale, gently lean forward as much as you can before that internal rotation starts to happen. Again, kneecaps glued, glutes glued. And I want you to do this depending on your flexibility level. So go down as far as you can. If you can kick your feet out wider, great. If your feet are here, fine. And if this is all you can do for today, great. Maybe in a couple weeks, we'll have you a little bit more forward. But I want you to get your hips as open as you can in a comfortable position. And again, when you inhale, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your quads, push the back of your kneecaps into the ground. And as you exhale, walk your hands forward and stay. You can release your quads. Take a few nice deep breaths here. Remember, 3 to 4 seconds in, 6 to 8 seconds out. Calm your central nervous system down. And again, just repeat that. Flex, get some tension, push those back of the knees into the ground, lift that head up, and then exhale, walk it out a little further. If you can. If you're at limit, stop there and just breathe and stay here for 2 to 3 minutes. Otherwise, those of you that are hypermobile or need more, keep going until you're safely. You can go chest to ground, arms out. You can grab your toes if you can, and breathe. So go to your limits, go to what you can do, and then very, very, very slowly, legs together. But I want you to spend 2 to 3 minutes here in that position, leg opener. If for some reason this is hurting your lower back, you can always turn around on your back and do this on a wall too to support that lower back. And then to finish, feet together, big inhale, guys. And as you exhale, I just want you to drop. Don't worry about what your spine's doing, your neck, just drop. And breathe. Spend a few long breaths here. Relax your spine, relax your legs. And you are done for today. So hopefully that helps your hips. If you guys had a heavy week with squats, lunges, box jumps, anything that's really hip, quad heavy, do the stretch afterwards. Like I said, 10 to 15 minutes a day is all you need. Like I said, each movement, each side, 2 to 3 minutes. Bring into play the lacrosse ball, your tennis ball. As we go further into the videos, I'll get a little bit more complex with the mobility equipment, but for now, let's keep it simple. You're at home, I know you have this equipment. You can keep it simple, keep it easy, Add the weight if you need to, the plate, the dumbbell, and keep mobilizing. Thanks, guys. See you later.